And as the sun is setting on the, whatever it is of May, I don't know, what is it, the 7th? 7th of May, we're going to have a chat with John about crumbing chicken. Now, first of all, I'm going to ask John, what do you use for crumb? I'm not talking gluten-free yet, I will in a minute, but just for a normal crumb.
Well, your normal crumb, you're generally looking at either a toasted crumb or a fresh crumb.
Right. So do you make toast and then crumb it?
Well, for a toasted crumb, I would use some bread that I've dried out in the oven and then put it through your Vitamizer or Thermomix or whatever you have and grind it down into a crumb.
Oh, okay. And fresh bread's exactly what it says. Exactly
the same. Better if it's a few days old, just to let it dry a fraction, because it'll cut down better than a really fresh, soft loaf. But yeah, just the same thing. Into the Vitamizer and
blitz it.
Blitz it down.
Can you put stuff with it?
Once you've made the crumb mix, you can really put whatever you like with it. We did chicken Kievs the other night and I blended parmesan through the fresh breadcrumbs. If you like something spicy, you could put chili flakes through it. It's really comes down to your imagination what flavour you'd like out of your crumbs.
And you actually added some chia seeds.
I did, yes, just to pretend that we were being healthy with it. You could add sesame seeds, you could add fresh herbs. It comes down to if you want a flavour profile with your crumbs to match what you're putting your crumbs on.
All right, now let's talk. Oops, I'm looking at you and not making sure that the video is on you. Let's talk about sticking the crumbs on the chicken. What's the secret?
All right. The most important thing is once you've crumbed it, let it rest.
All right, hold on. I'm going to stop you right here. How do you crumb it? Well, let's go to the basics.
That was where I was heading.
Domestic dispute on video.
You can, if your chicken is quite wet, you can dust it in flour first and then through an egg wash and then pat it into your crumbs. Or you can use a bit of paper toweling and pat most of the moisture off of the chicken and then through your egg wash and into your crumbs. But you need to apply some pressure when you put the crumbs on. Don't just drop it in and take it out. They need to be pushed into the chicken a little bit.
All right, and then rest.
And then at least 30 minutes in the fridge before you start cooking them. Gives it time to bind itself to the chicken. That way your crumbs aren't going to start falling off.
All right, so is it like a steak where you need to bring it to room temperature again?
If you're going to cook something in the oven, it's always better cooked at room temperature. If you're doing schnitzels, that doesn't matter quite so much. The more important thing with the schnitzels is the heat of the pan. Too hot, you're going to burn your crumbs off. Oh,
that sounds like a euphemism, but we'll leave it at that. Okay, now what if you are a celiac and you just don't want gluten? What are your options?
All right. Well, your options naturally to start off with is a gluten-free bread, or something for a bit of extra crunch. You could use some rice crackers or something along those sort of lines.
Oh, very nice. And you were talking, when we were talking about this in the car, you were mentioning chips.
Oh yeah, for an interesting crumbing mix that's going to come up even crunchier. Marry the flavour of chips you like with whatever you're crumbing. Crush them down and use that as your crumbing mixture instead of breadcrumbs. Cornflakes also make a really terrific crumb.
And of course there's gluten-free cornflakes too, isn't there?
There would be gluten-free cornflakes, and corn chips are another one. They give you a nice crunchy texture.
Okay. And what about cooking? So you're cooking something like the Kievs in the oven. What's your recommendation?
All right, so 180 degree oven, preheated, and the Kievs just go straight in on some baking paper. Don't fiddle with them, don't turn with them, just let them sit in the oven and do their thing. You're generally looking at about 40 minutes for a Kiev to cook through.
So you don't need to oil the crumbs or anything, you just They'll just do their thing.
Yeah, crumbs will do their thing. If you want, your fresh crumbs will come up nice and crispy like that. If you want to get a real super crunch and you don't want to use oil, just a little cup with some water in with it, and that will give them a nice crunch.
What, in the pan, or put the cup?
Just put the cup in the oven so that the steam comes through, and that'll just give you a bit crunchier breadcrumb to finish without using oil.
All right, now I'll just add here, just make sure that the cup that you put in won't melt in the oven.
Yeah, plastic cups, not vegan.
Right, now what if you were doing a schnitzel?
All right, if you're doing a schnitzel, not too hot. You want your pan on a medium to medium low. Put the schnitzel in, cook one side, turn it over once. Don't give them travel sickness and move them around the pan and make them turn them over 4 or 5 times. Just your time on either side.
So, and did you say the time?
In a medium pan, it depends on whether you're using a thin chicken breast schnitzel or whether you're using a chicken leg schnitzel. You've got to adjust the time to work out whichever one you're doing. All
right, but that doesn't give me a time. So what, is there a time, or how, is there a way of checking that it's cooking?
Well, to cook a leg fillet, which is thicker, you would be looking at probably 8 minutes aside. To cook a thinnish breast schnitzel, you're looking at probably 3 or 4 minutes aside. Once your crumbs are cooked, your chicken's going to be pretty well done.
All right. Well, I think that's it. We'll marry this with the other videos, but at least you've got the crumbing questions done. So cheerio from us.